Now in the final week, not just of World Series baseball, but of campaigning in the race for president. And the focus right now on the Battleground States.
Indeed. Vice President Harris is spending the day in Michigan, while former President Obama stumps for her in Philadelphia. Mr. Trump, meantime, will hold a rally in Atlanta, while his running mate, J.D. Vance, will be in Wisconsin. And while the candidates will be in the Battleground States, the talk on the campaign trail continues to surround yesterday's Trump rally in Madison Square Garden, and particularly a so-called comedian who spoke before Mr. Trump and made a number of racist comments, including one about Puerto Rico. Today, the Trump campaign and Ms. Harris responded.
It was a comedian who made a joke in poor taste. Obviously, that joke does not reflect the views of President Trump or our campaign.
I will never forget what Donald Trump did and what he did not do when Puerto Rico needed a caring and a competent leader. He abandoned the island, tried to block aid after back-to-back devastating hurricanes, and offered nothing more than paper towels and insults. And now Donald Trump promises to be even more extreme.
And Eyewitness News reporter Joe Torres spoke with Puerto Rican lawmakers and voters. And Joe, is this the kind of comment that could actually cost Mr. Trump some votes?
You know, Sade, it makes you wonder what's the political strategy here, right? It's tough to figure it out. Here we are in the Bronx, home to many of the roughly 1 million Puerto Ricans who live in the 5 boroughs, who live here and vote here as well. Many of them we talked to today, they knew about the comments that were uttered at the rally last night. They also knew that it wasn't the former president who uttered those words, but at the same time they said it'll be the former president who pays the price on Election Day.
Approach a Puerto Rican in New York and play the video of last night's incendiary comments about their homeland, and then watch the fire ignite.
What kind of people say that? Yeah. They don't know us. Yeah. Why they judge like that?
It's really hard to accept that came out of his mouth.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
That was comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, who tried to fire up a jam-packed Madison Square Garden crowd of Trump supporters ahead of the former president's speech. The joke bombed, but the explosive fallout reverberated across the country to the 5 million plus stateside Puerto Ricans, many of them registered voters, and more than 3 million American citizens on the island.
Convicted Trump didn't say the words that were said at his rally, but it doesn't matter because it was his rally.
Donald Trump has got to go! Hey, hey! Oh!
This afternoon in East Harlem, a who's who of Puerto Rican federal, state, and city leaders held a news conference to condemn the comments uttered Sunday night, comments made at a rally designed to gain supporters in a tight presidential election, comments that could backfire in a key battleground state.
So, you know, he made a calculated error yesterday. Basically, he said goodbye to PA, to Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, we have 450,000 Puerto Ricans.
This is about human rights, civil rights, and this is about my people, my mother, my grandmother who died after Maria. This is about our people who have suffered for way too long.
He has shown us time and time again that he doesn't value us, that he doesn't value our vote, that he doesn't respect us as people.
Now, you had it at the top of the broadcast there, but it's worth repeating that a spokesperson from the Trump campaign today acknowledged those comments uttered at the rally yesterday were in poor taste and do not reflect the campaign or the feelings of the former president. Coming up in our next report at 6 o'clock, you'll hear from more Puerto Ricans who will explain to you why they don't believe that. We're live in the Bronx. I'm Joe Torres, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.